Rolling with FD.
I am rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
We are rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
We got alphas and bros in the house.
That's right. Peace out, my brother.
Woo! I'm rolling with the F to the D.
Learn something new every day when you're rolling with FD.
We are rolling with FD, baby.
I roll with one person, and that's FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
You gotta love it, man. Hey, Renee, who you rolling with?
Rolling with FD.
Amen. Rolling with FD.
You don't have to ask. I'm rolling with FD.
My man, C. Bless. Who you rolling with?
I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD.
That's how you just rolling, right? That's the whole thing, right? You roll with it.
I'm rolling with FD.
Manny and Jeremy, who you rolling with?
We're rolling with FD. We don't want to get our asses kicked.
My man, Dan, the card man. I appreciate you, dog. You gotta let the people know who you rolling with.
Well, obviously I'm rolling with FD.
I'm rolling with FD, baby.
Chasing Cardboard is rolling with FD.
Rolling with FD.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? Good to be here. I'm very excited about this conversation. We got several things to talk about, and you might hear some stuff you ain't heard someplace else. So we're gonna kick it off with Jerry is in the house. I'm gonna bring him on. What's up, Jerry? Can you hear me?
What's up?
It's good to have you here.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think we still got a little delay on the image.
Can you hear me?
On your image. Yeah, it's 2 or 3 seconds behind. But I think we may have to go with that. Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think we still have a delay.
Hey, can you hear me?
I think we still have a delay on sound and image.
Okay.
I just sent you a note.
Hey, I'm down to roll with it.
You good to go?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay. Let me start out by asking you about Bronny James. There's been a lot of talk in the media about Bronny getting drafted, coming to the Lakers. What have you seen so far from Bronny James? Have you watched him play in the summer league?
I've watched a few of the highlights. I've seen a little bit. I haven't actually watched the entirety of of the scrimmage stuff.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. He's a good player. He's great. But man, I really do feel bad for him. I mean, that's a big set of shoes to fill. I mean, really, when you've got that last name, man, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure. It is a lot of pressure. My biggest question is, I wonder what the sense of urgency is. I've talked to some people and they say, hey, I think it's LeBron wants to play with him. And that's the sense of urgency of him leaving USC and then coming to the NBA. But that, I don't know. It just seems like there's a real sense of urgency, even beyond that. We got to remind ourselves, Bronny is less than a year removed from a heart medical situation. I don't know if that has something to do with it.
Yeah, a major situation.
Major. life death situation, permanent damage situation. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. And the way they're talking is like he's going to spend most of his time in the G League. I just wonder how it's going to play out once the season starts. Is there going to be like a week or two where he's with the Lakers, a lot of fanfare, people taking pictures, father and son on the court, Bronny throws him alley-oop, something for a poster. And then does he go to the G League most of the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I've been kind of curious about that myself. My thought was, does this mean that LeBron plans on retiring soon? Because that was kind of the vibes that I felt. Because it's like, hey, we need to get my son in. I want to play at least 1 or 2 basketball games with him and then retire.
Could be. We will all see. Have you had a chance to? I know that was just been one game. There was an exhibition game last night for USA basketball. You had a chance to check. What do you think of the team itself that has been assembled? And I think
they put the Avengers
out
together. I mean, it is stacked. I cannot wait. Honestly, it's going to be exciting. I mean, everybody's comparing them to the Dream Team, and honestly, if there's going to be a group of guys to do it, this is the group.
Do you think? Would you compare them to the Dream Team? What do you think about that comparison?
Listen, everybody compares stuff to, Jordan, the Dream Team, stuff like that. I'm just going to appreciate the time that we have. I mean, honestly. Yeah. But, man, I can't wait for them to go out because the scrimmage between, them and Canada, they were just dominant.
It's interesting. That's what I thought, too. They were very dominant, even with the good to great players that are on the Canadian team.
Well, and I don't think that the USA team has had but a couple days to actually practice together. So once they've got some time to really bond up and mesh up, I think it's really going to be something fierce.
Yeah, because I think they reported it was somewhere between the 3rd and the 5th, and they've only had a few practices or times to run together. And there were times in that game last night where it seemed almost like an exhibition game, like almost like an all-star game, So I think that they called a flight today to go overseas. So they should be, gelling, doing more stuff together. It will definitely be interesting to watch. KD.
It's going to be very exciting to watch, 100%.
KD kind of tweaked his calf, so he's been out a little bit. Didn't play last night, but all eyes are on LeBron and Steph.
KD was the only person that I was nervous about on the whole team, and I was just thinking because he's injury prone. KD's a great player. I mean, when you need a guy to drain a three, KD's your guy. But gosh, he gets hurt often.
Yeah. Well, after you hurt that tear in Achilles, it's never going to be the same. You're going to have tightness here, strains there, and never going to be the same. I just hope we get a chance to watch him in the Olympics at some point. Machado says here, Team USA versus Canada Showcase was better than the All-Star game. It actually was.
Yeah, I mean, 100% fair.
It actually was. Machado also says, what's good, Chad? Got a few comments here. Welcome, JPZ, he says. JPZ, that's
glad to be on. Glad to be on.
Is that a new name for you? Did you go by that?
No, but I'll take it for the night.
My man. Machado says we're rolling. 2 goals. Big John, thank you very much, sir. What's up, FD and Jerry? It's always good to have Jerry.
Big John's a goat, too.
So let's all dive in. I want to have a conversation about this, and I thought Jerry would be a great person to have a conversation with. Let's talk about the Dallas Card Show and $2 million, $2.2 million in cars coming up lost. Jerry, when you first heard about that, what did you think?
First things first, I want to give flowers to the Dallas Card Show. It's one of the only card shows I've ever been to that actually had security cameras set up everywhere. Mm-hmm. And quite literally, this story would be a lot worse if it was anywhere else other than the Dallas Card Show. Even when I went to the National in Chicago, I mean, there was a few booths that had it, but as far as the Dallas show, I mean, every room, almost every table. I mean, shots from everywhere. So I got to start off with giving the flowers to the guys and the girls who do the Dallas show. They definitely do it right.
Yes. Yes, I think.
But man, what a heartbreaker though. And I mean, I honestly feel like that group of vendors was targeted because, you know, it was a group of high school kids working the tables and with some crazy money.
So were they all children? No adult there?
I don't know about that. So I believe we've met that vendor before, me and Amani, and I believe it's a dad, 2 sons, and I believe the sons had a friend. So I would assume that there's adults there, especially with that kind of money. But I mean, you know, if dad's at the bathroom break, the sketchy sketch balls are going to go, hey, here's our time to shine. And I really feel like that's why they were targeted.
So some people have hit me up with questions. Some people have hit me up with comments. I think most of the stuff centered around how do you have that much away from you, so far away from you? And I think crime is everywhere. In a hobby, we got to be mindful that crime is everywhere.
Well, and the hobby is becoming so popular now that, you know, criminals are realizing, hey, you can show up here, pick up 1 or 2 items, and you're already over $150,000, you know? So, I mean, when you're at that tax bracket, when you have that level of inventory, 100%, man, you should be paying some level of security to hang out. Even if it's an undressed security person who's, hey, man, watch all my stuff. You know, my kids are watching it, but some extra, you know?
Yeah, it's almost, you know, about a year and a half ago or so, or more, when the Atlantic City show happened. I'm glad it doesn't happen at the Atlantic City show. Then, you know, as we approach the National's coming up, I hope nothing happens at the National. You know, things happen, and you probably will have more shows now with certain security, having cameras involved, and more of a presence. Maybe people walking around, just a little bit more of a presence. I don't know, but luckily, I think the best thing is that no one was hurt while all this was going on. But to have somebody walk away with $2 million in car. Another thing I heard some people ask was, "Hey, do you think insurance fraud was?" And a whole bunch of stuff came out.
Well, my whole thought with the insurance is my very rough understanding of insurance, and I'm not a genius. I think it changes once you take it out of the home, right? Like it's insured while you're in the home, but I don't know if the policy stated, hey, when you go out on the road or whatever.
I'll tell you this, just from experience. You do have a home policy, and you do have a wherever policy. The wherever policy is crazy expensive.
But at that level of inventory, you better budget for the whatever policy.
True. It's very expensive to get. And then a lot of times we need to keep in mind, too, that when items come up lost, your insurance policy does not cover 100% of the value of that item. And we know prices fluctuate and are volatile within the hobby. So, yeah, you're not walking away with anything. But if you have a $2 million collection, you're not just picking up $2 million from an insurance policy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think as far as my rough understanding of insurance, they say you want to be 10 times plus whatever it is, just for extra. True. And, you know, I don't know, man. I really hope for the guys that the police find them before somebody else does, because, man, that's a way to end up with some concrete shoes at the bottom of a river. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's not Pastor Cliff coming to the house. That's some real deal guys upset.
Yeah. The crazy thing, though, is that let's say none of these guys that took this stuff are part of the hobby. We've been around. Nobody in the hobby probably even knows who they are. You know, they could just be some guys walking around at a show. So hopefully, go ahead.
Well, with facial recognition, I mean, I would assume that the FBI is already involved. I mean,
On this level.
it's going to be bad news. And I mean, maybe the thieves were stupid and they didn't realize what they were stealing, but boy, once you go to that price point, it gets real serious real fast.
Yeah, it's a lot. Well, what was it? A year ago or so? Someone was selling fake cars at a show in Dallas. Guy was wrestled to the ground. Do you remember this?
Very roughly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, whenever there's large dollars involved, things start happening. I know when I go to a show, and I'm much smaller, as we know. I got a few things I'm trying to get done. I'm not even in the same spectrum or realm of what we're talking about as far as dollar values. But I try to have a protocol of how I'm getting down and what am I doing since the first day.
Oh yeah. I
I
mean, that's me, Amani, Marcus. Like going to a show. It's like, hey man, if I need a bathroom break, here's my stuff. And you know, I would only leave that with a certain group of people. There's no way I would just walk away. And I mean, when you look at the video, I mean, they're just so far from their stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, man. I've worked and I've vended so many shows that it's like you always have to keep your head on a swivel. You just got to assume the worst of people. I mean, I've even had people walk back behind the tables at some of our local shows, and I'm just like, "Hey, bro, who are you? You don't have a vendor badge. You need to like take that on." Oh, I got lost. Well, get lost that way. So I mean,
yeah.
You just got to assume the worst, and it's not the best, but at the same time, man, you just got to assume people are out to get you.
Yep, that's the reality of things. Machado says, "Evil world we live in. Sad to see people selling cars in 2024. Man, make the hobby great again. I miss the old days."
Well, you know, even in the old days, I'm sure stuff was getting stolen. And unfortunately, with the old days, social media wasn't around. So stuff just disappeared and just fell off the face of the planet. At least in this day and age of social media, everybody's got a camera, everybody's in there filming. I mean, I know a lot of guys don't enjoy all the, you know, podcasters, YouTubers, all that. But really, in this sense, it's a positive. I mean, there's so much publicity out on it. I mean, even if these guys crack the cards out of the case to try to sell them raw, I'm sure every shop in the United States knows about this. You know what I mean? It's like,
so right before we got on, I heard something on I think Jeff Wilson had something up about this, and it was said that I think every grading company that was involved has deactivated these cards. All images of these cars have been distributed amongst the grading companies, so they can, you know, you got vintage stuff in here. So there are certain creases. The cars have their own identity. They kind of have their own fingerprint. So
yes.
That stuff has been captured. So if you crack out and you send in, they're matching pictures, especially with these Mickey Mantles that were allegedly taken. So, and I think what was it? They distributed pictures, and also a lot of car shops now have visibility to these images. And if you go into a car shop trying to sell the cards, they kind of know what's going on. So, you know, back in the day when images were blurry, you really couldn't make out something that might have been. But now you can pull a picture up and pretty much match. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, shout out to all the card companies that are doing the high resolution scans. First off, as a collector, I enjoy it because, you know, you just download the photo, share it to your buddies. You can say, hey, this is what I got, right? But on this level, it's like, hey, this is what it's stolen. It's got a crease in the top left. Look out for this. Look out for that. And, you know, like you said, pretty much everybody in the United States right now who's in the hobby at least, and as at least somewhat up to date, is knowledgeable of this. So, I mean,
Sure.
even if they try to go take it off to, pawn it off on some other dealer, everybody's going to be like, man, hold on, let me look at this. And man, I'm glad that we're in the day and age that we're at. Still completely unfortunate. I would love to see their stuff returned. It's the best case scenario of a worst case scenario.
The worst thing that can happen is that a card is cracked out, sold to someone that doesn't know a lot about this, and then that person tries to sell the card.
Yeah.
That may actually happen, and that would be a horrible situation. You thought you had something, you find out, I don't really have anything here.
I would hope that, especially, I know a lot of the LLCs, once we get past a certain price point, we're not handing you cash. It's got to be a PayPal. It's got to be an official invoice scenario. So please send this guy your PayPal information. So at least when he does the mistake of buying the wrong thing, he's at least got the connection. But I do know that there's a lot of guys that walk around with a lot of money and they go, oh, wow, a 52 mantle for this cheap in cash? I'll do it. And it's like,
true. That's Jerry's and FD's public service announcement to everybody out there. If you see something that doesn't feel right, price doesn't look right, and
trust your spidey sense.
Yeah, if you suspect at all that it's involved in this situation, do your due diligence, check out some pictures, take the time, tell somebody, I want to take some time to do some research and find out a little bit more, and I'm looking at prices or whatever you want to say, and then dig into that thing. We got Christopher King here. Says, I get it. They got caught slipping. But my biggest concern is these content creators flashing all this money and surprise there has not been a robbery outside parking garage, etc. I've had people ask me questions about that. And Christopher King brings up a great point. I mean, that's an excellent point. A lot of content has been. We've even made some content with some dollars in it. I know a knock we got originally, Jerry, is that I would buy cars and I would never speak on price. So we would never include the price of a car. So if I walked up and bought a Steph Curry rookie, I made the purchase, and people in the comments will say, well, how much was that? Because, Jerry, I'm mindful in this way. I'm thinking about, okay, am I telling people right now I got X amount of cars on me as I'm walking the show? So then if they see me, are they thinking about the dollar amount that he just said in his last episode? I've been mindful of that since day one. And I'm not really a flashy person, man. So I don't talk about I have X amount of dollars on me. I came into this show and I'm about to do X, Y, Z. Now I know that gets clicks and people watch that and people want to see it. But from the get-go, from the first time we ever put anything out, I've always been mindful. And I have my sons with me. So I'm very concerned about where's stuff at. Where's my stuff at?
No, I totally agree.
Yeah, I don't walk around with cards in my hand. I don't put stuff in my pockets that may fall out. I really don't do any of that. So Christopher King here brings up a great point.
Well, I would like to say I've met a few of the big content creators, and generally they've got a big dude walking around with them, and I would imagine that gentleman probably practices his Second Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm.
And, like for instance, when we went to the PWCC booth last year at the National, you've got these real big guys in real nice suits, and you start looking around and it's like, oh, you are locked, loaded, and ready for anything. But, I see a lot of these smaller content creators that are going to a show by themselves flashing, oh, hey, I just dropped 10, 15 grand. And it's like, I do feel like you're taking a risk, honestly. You're creating a target for yourself.
You are. You most definitely are. Hopefully, nothing happens. Nothing goes on with people, and we just want people to be safe. This isn't like to scare folks. It's just to think about some things, and maybe you keep yourself, someone next to you, or something out of a situation. Machado says, question for both: state of the car market right now. We were about to get to this. Thoughts or concerns going forward? How do you see the Fanatics era impact on cars? Jerry, you go off on
Yeah,
that.
so I'll start us out. Honestly, I know overall like prices are down from what they were at the peak, right? But as far as the volume goes, man, it's there. Now the 86 Fleer Jordan maybe isn't 400,000 and maybe it's only 200,000 now, right? But the amount of volume, the amount of traffic, it's there. I don't want to say scare tactics, but I see all these people putting out clickbait going, oh, the hobby's dying, this, that, the other. FD, every time I go to a show, it's elbow to elbow. And that's big shows, that's small shows, that's local shows, out of town shows. It's there. Now, in regards to the Fanatics era, I'm a singles guy. I don't rip. I would much rather do the guarantee. If I want a Steph Curry rookie, I'm just going to go for that. I'm not going to rip a box. So me personally and my tactics, it doesn't really affect me. Overall for the hobby, I definitely do see some small shops stressing about it. I do see some small mom and pop shops where it's like they live and breathe on allocation. And if you go to cut the allocation, who's to say that store is going to be able to continue? Now, if I was a big store or if I was a brick and mortar, I would be going after the Burbank cards tactic. Singles, set collectors, grading, trading, that kind of stuff.
So I'll start with the Fanatics era first, and I think Jerry just touched on it. I hate to say it, it's going to be difficult for some smaller shops going forward. And I think people kind of knew that. I'm not saying something that people don't already know. It's going to be extremely difficult. I've been in a few shops where they've expressed concerns about certain things. But, the thing about almost anything is that you can grow your business and make it so unique that you protect yourself from other things. So you look at Burbank. Burbank has, Rob's father was a mastermind. Probably when some people thought, well, what is he doing? The most organized store you ever see. You could, and I've been to a lot of shops around the country throughout my lifetime. You walk into Burbank, you want to put your hand on a card, you can do that in a very limited amount of time. And then they have everything synced up to their eBay online business website where that card is taken out of population immediately. So Jerry and I, it's almost impossible for us to buy the same card. They've been vocal in the community for years. They've almost been walking probably some of the guidelines that are going to come from Fanatics, or if it hasn't already. They've already been living that. They've already been doing that. You see Jeff has opened up a shop. He's running that shop a particular way to be, he's almost every communication device that you can think of, he's on it. Burbank is doing the same thing. They're on your social media. They were putting YouTube content out. Jeff is doing the same thing. Having trade nights, getting children involved, young people, or people who don't know a lot about the hobby, help to grow the hobby. I mean, I think those are the things that Fanatics, from what I've heard, is looking for in different shops, and not just worried about their margin only. I remember being in another business, working in another business professionally, where it was very similar. What are you kind of doing overall to grow the business is what dollars would be allocated to. Product will be allocated. This is going to be no different. But go ahead. I feel like you got something to say.
Yeah, so I was going to bring up the Cards HQ. So I've not been to Burbank, but I've been to Cards HQ. And while I think, there is a portion of sealed product that's a big deal with Cards HQ, their singles selection is amazing. Mm-hmm. And as far as, Ryan and Carter, those guys are out just buying great stuff week after week after week. I mean, just the stuff that they're posting on, their story, it's amazing, high quality stuff. So, I mean, while I'm sure that store, if allocation ever became into question, would somewhat be affected, but for the most part, their singles are so good that it might hit them, but it really might not, because I mean, and as far as innovation goes, you're completely right. You've got to bring in new people. You've got to educate people. You've got to create content. The vast majority of the shops that I've heard that have complained about Fanatics, other than the allocation, was they were complaining about having to get onto a POS service, something with tap to pay, something that accepts debit cards. And I mean, honestly, it's 2024. You've got to catch up. Like, we can't.
Go ahead, finish that. That's a great point.
Yeah, we've got to catch up. You've got to be able to, because listen, a mom's not going to come in there, and a lot of the ladies don't even carry cash anymore. I mean, that's like my girlfriend. I've had to give her $100 bill and said, "Hey, look, keep that in your purse just in case your debit card doesn't work," because a lot of these ladies don't feel comfortable, carrying cash, and so it's not realistic for a mom to go into a shop and they go, "Oh, well, we only take cash," and it's not. It's 2024. You better have tap to pay. You better accept debit, credit cards for sure. Keep a cash box, keep cash, but at the same time, we need to create an environment where mom feels good to come in, where mom can just show up, have no information, goes, "Hey, my son likes Pokemon, my daughter likes basketball, tap to pay," and done. And I mean, even to go further on that, I think we need to have some realistic price points. I mean, I don't know if you've recently looked at some of these hobby box prices, but I mean, it's a great, way to scare somebody off. They look at something and go, "Oh my God, $500 a box." So it really does help to have, that $50 ETB from Pokemon, or, we've got a blaster box, or very affordable products.
Yeah.
And
Also,
I personally, I don't think that the breaking is going to appeal to mom. Now, mom will go buy a Charizard card. Mom will go buy a Steph Curry card, but I don't think you're going to convince mom, "Oh, hey, put little Johnny in a break."
Hey, everybody doesn't go to Vegas, Atlantic City, and Reno. So that's one part of the hobby, but it's not the answer for everybody.
Well, I mean, that was when Chicago National happened, right? I can't tell you how many guys I saw make great money and then they went straight to the casino. And I'll be honest with you, I had a couple buddies, "Hey man, you want to come?" And I was just like, there's no way, because it's just not me. That's not, that's not my vibes.
Yeah. And I'm not hating on anybody. If that's what you like to do. There are things I like to do.
Hobby however you want to hobby, but I feel bad to burn a $20 bill. I literally, I could have bought something that I actually enjoyed versus put it in the, let's put this in the PSA vending machine, $50. Oh, I got a $10 card.
I agree.
Man, I can take that same $50 bill and turn it into 60, 70, $80. Why would I go gamble it? Which, even buying singles, if you're trying to make money, is somewhat of a gamble, but you got the for sure thing you knew you wanted.
I totally agree with you, Jerry. But what we're talking about takes patience and a long-term kind of view. And a lot of people, they want the now. They want that data, that adrenaline hit. Buying an Acuna card, maybe, or breaking for an Acuna card, let me say, may be the same as playing roulette in Vegas. So, I've stood there and watched friends win money, lose money. Hey, if you want to, nah, I'm straight. That's just me. This is how I get that. Also, I want to throw out there, I went to 2 retailers, people, on Sunday. Both did not accept cash. Did not accept cash at all.
I think you should accept cash at some level, right? But we can't be an all cash business. I mean, that's not the way that somebody's going to go, oh, let me give this guy more allocation. Even if you got the money to pay for it, I think so. So what I think Michael Rubin and Fanatics is trying to do is they're trying to look at the numbers and go, hey, we're making so many boxes of this and it sits for 6 months, but we're making Bowman and it sells out in 2 weeks. So maybe they're figuring out, hey, let's put more effort in this and take away from that, which I think helps the hobby grow.
And I also think the car market right now, I know when I watch content, I see a lot of cars changing hands, a lot of active buying and selling. I personally don't know if that's long term. Can that sustain itself? I don't know. I know we may stretch the limits on it and see what it does, but I do know in a down market, people will find a way to make profit. So if I can turn $8 into $12, then I'm going to do that as long as I can do that. So I think that's the
Well, I mean, that's the Anthony Edwards stuff, right? Like forever ago, his silvers were, $200, $300, $400. Yeah. Boy, now they're like $1,500. Yeah. And so it's like, I would, as telling somebody new who's coming in the hobby, I would say gamble on the player. Don't gamble on the break, right? If you really believe, hey, he's the man, he's got no love right now, his prices are low, it feels incredibly safe versus, oh, let's go spend that same $500 on a hobby box and get $30 worth of stuff.
Speak on it. I agree with you. Machado says, it's me and my value box against the world. Also, this is a time too, if you feel like something was unaffordable for yourself, it might be affordable now. It might be a time to make a single play or several single plays. So even if you want to buy unbroken wax, you want to buy a full box. That box may have been more expensive before. If it's a little bit less right now, maybe time to make a move. Maybe time to holler at some goats. Some real goats in the hobby, ones that ESPN talks about.
So on the value box, I honestly think that's the bread and butter. So me personally, as a guy who sells on eBay, the plain white envelopes for the 20 and less in cards has just been a total game changer. I mean, it has really allowed me to scale my eBay up because a lot of times I'll go to a $5 box and I pay $5 for a card and I'm able to sell it for $18. I ship it for $1 and it's like, it's so superior to the old way of I would sell that same $18 card, but then you got to spend $5 on a bubble mailer. And, really, as I'm telling new guys and girls in the hobby, go to the value box, go to the $5 box, sell all your stuff plain white envelope because it's super easy. It's super, as far as when I'm buying an item that's under $20, if it comes in a plain white envelope, I'm not mad. And as far as like last year, I think I did like almost like 80 or 90 plain white envelope items on eBay. I only had 2 or 3 get messed up. And I mean, you have to factor in stuff's going to get messed up.
Some part of it, yeah.
But, if I'm buying for 5 and I'm selling for 12 and 2 or 3 out of that many get messed up, I've already made enough money. It's okay. You got to expect it. It's business.
It's true. Machado says, facts, JP. Burbank has the blueprint for every shop out there. Burbank.
100%.
Who's the shop again that's out of Car Vault out of Boston? Does a great job. Can't miss them. I think a year or two ago, they were voted Hobby Shop LCS of the year. These places do great things, and some of them, like we're talking about, we have never been there, but we know how they get down and what they're doing in the hobby and how they promote themselves and how they promote the hobby overall. But Charles says, welcome everyone. Tap in and ask some questions for the hobbyists. Please do. We can talk sports, hobby, anything you like. Great answers, fellas. Thanks for your knowledge as always. Thank you, Machado. Cars HQ, definitely following the Blueprint shop online. Flowers to Burbank. Burbank is a great show. A great place to me. A great show and a great LCS. Burbank cashes out cards. You could go in Burbank and change your whole collecting strategy. if you want to.
And the beautiful thing with Burbank, because I've met the guys, they're super great. And it's so funny. You see all these people at these shows, they have the sign up saying, "Oh, I'm buying," and they pick and choose, right? Mm-hmm. Burbank is one of the only places that you could take your entire inventory and they'll give you a number for your entire inventory. And I'll be honest with you, the numbers they offer are completely reasonable because you go to some of these guys and you got $100 card and they go, "I'll give you $25." And it's like, there's no way. But when you take that same card to a Burbank, to a Cards HQ, to one of these real big guys that are actively buying, and they go, "Hey man, I'll give you $80." And you're going, "Bro, I don't have to ship it. I don't have to deal with eBay nonsense," because unfortunately with eBay, you do get nonsense. I mean, every other place, but eBay's where I particularly hang out. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, you have to be able to buy as a shop. So like, I would like to give some flowers to our local shop, Champs, here in town. Man, these are 3 gentlemen who they're doing the Burbank model on a kind of way smaller scale, but it's great because like there's been times where it's like one of my buddies ripped a card and got like an $800 card out. He took it to the shop and the guy goes, "Hey, look, I'll give you $725 cash, or if you want to do trade value, it'll be this little bump more." And it's great. I mean, it's businesses like that I feel like 10 years from now, 100% they're going to be there. Now, these guys that are just running breaks, they're only doing sealed product, those are the guys and girls I do worry about 100%.
Well, that was the play several years ago. I think we got to realize that things change. You know, all of us realize
you have to be willing to pivot. Like if you're not willing to pivot, it's just not going to go anywhere. That was like when I first started in the hobby, everybody was chasing retail product. You know, people would camp out at the Walmarts.
Yeah.
The fights would ensue. It was really like the worst part of the hobby for me. And I'll be honest with you, I was so excited when retail fell off because all those guys who couldn't pivot, never seen them again, you know? And it was like, hey, dude was a jerk to deal with anyways. We don't really need people like that in the hobby. I mean, I can't tell you how many friends I met through chasing retail where it's like they would load the shelves, you know, we'd all be in line and they'd go, "Oh my God, don't buy all the boxes." And I'm like, "Bro, there's 4. I'm going to take one, you know, the next guy gets one, the one after that gets one, you know, like just being kind to people really helps as well."
I agree. Builds your brand as well. We got the Quiet Car podcast in the house. Jerry, I got a question.
Sir.
Tell me the origin story because I haven't even asked Imani. I've kind of thought about it myself. These are my dudes. I can see all of them being together talking about stuff. But break down the origin story to us.
So me, Imani, and Marcus are all vendors at a local show. And it just really stemmed from just starting a friendship, right? First off, Imani and Marcus are just incredibly trustworthy guys. The first time I met Imani, he was sitting there working the booth. He had his son. He had his dad. First time I met Marcus, you know, he had his wife. He had his daughter. And, you know, these were guys that you could really just chop it up with, you know. And as far as the podcast goes, I mean, you put out great content. There's a lot of creators that put out great content, but there's a plethora of guys and girls that just put out. These are people who don't go to shows. These are people who I mean, I don't want to say they don't know what they're talking about, but in my eyes, as a guy who's been in the trenches, they don't know what they're talking about. So basically we were like, hey, we've got enough knowledge together. Let's educate the masses.
All 3 of you are, you know, we've spent time together, and I think highly of all 3 of you. Some of the more genuine people. I'm always in awe when I meet a real genuine person. You know, when somebody's the same.
It is rare in this day and age.
Rare. Every time you see him, you talk to him, you interact with him, you hit him with a DM. not pretentious at all. We'll hit you right back. Answer any question that you have. See what's up with you. You know, we've been all
Listen,
kicking.
I've seen so many guys in the hobby that you go to ask a question and, oh, you don't have enough followers. I wouldn't even read your message. And it's like, I've had people who hit me up and I'm like, hey, I would suggest you should do this, you should do this, you should do that. Like, that's my personal take. And I've had more often than not, people come to me and they go, man, I'm so glad you told me to sell that because, oh my God, you know, it's down now. And it's like, yeah, man, you know, it's the hottest, latest product. Just flip it. Unless you love it and you want to collect it for 10 years, just flip it. You know, 2-3 pictures on eBay, run it at 99 cents, 7-day auction. You're going to make money. Like recently with the news of Wander Franco, I had a personal friend who reached out to me and he goes, oh my God, I hate that this happened. I said, okay, why? What's up? He goes, man, I've got a $10,000 Wander Franco card.
Time to move.
And I'm sitting there, and I the first thing I said, man, I hope you're joking. He goes, no, bro, I'm dead serious. And I said, okay, did you pay that amount? And he goes, no, I ripped it from a $400 box, and I just kind of thought this stuff would blow over. Man, had he hit me up months before, I would have literally said, the first wind of the issue, put it up. Just unless you want to keep it for 10 years, put it up, take what you can. It is what it is, you know? But a lot of these other people, they're like, oh, you're not in my Discord group. I can't answer questions. You know, oh, you're not a part of my cook group. Like
the real side of things, right? This is how you can walk up to Jerry at a show and he's talking to you and conversing with you. And then you walk up to somebody else and you're like, man, I didn't get the Jerry treatment. What's up? Because everybody is not rolling the same way, not down the same way. It's funny how that works, though. But you know, real people find real people. So always remember that. You know, I'm walking around talking to people, and you know, just like any other part of society, real people find real people. Machado says facts. Those hobby box prices are insane. That's why I say retail for the win. Plus, you can pull a life-changing card in retail stuff. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you go to retail, if you go to hobby, find your the way you find your cards. If you have I always say this because I try to be as rational as I can. If you have a strategy based on a foundation, you're going to win at something more than lose. That's any part of life. Have a strategy built on a foundation, you're going to win more than lose.
So my personal thoughts on the retail, as far as kind of what Fanatics is doing right now, it does appear that they are putting some really big stuff in retail to try to attract that market.
That's how you attract people that don't know that don't have a history in cards. Yeah, I kind of thought this from the getting up. Yeah,
but I wouldn't suggest that for the long term. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I've got buddies who they've ripped 2 or 3 things and hit big. And the first thing I tell them, I'm like, all right, you did good. Now quit, focus on singles, lock in. Because my favorite way to explain to people what ripping is, I said, just imagine you took a $20 bill and light it on fire. Sometimes you'll make money. More often than not, you just lit a $20 bill on fire. And that doesn't feel good in my heart, you know.
Sure. Jerry, when you coming out to the Burbank show, man?
Man, me and Monty have been talking about it, bro. It's on the list.
Okay. And I'd love to see y'all. When is the next show? We got August coming up. Next show is around February. Love to see y'all. I know you both are waiting for me to come to the South as well. So I'm gonna put
listen,
that out. My people, I gotta
FD, I'm just gonna say Burbank is great. Wait till you come to Culture Collision. I mean, really, Culture Collision is just like, first off, you should bring your sons. They're gonna love it. Yeah, really, bring your sons, bring your wife, because there's people, they've got high-end purses, high-end shoes. It's a fun environment. Now, Burbank looks top tier. I mean, Burbank looks like the Rolex of the of the events. I mean, it is definitely a high scale event. I can't wait to go.
Yeah, can't wait to have you out here, man. Machado says y'all seen Vegas casinos came out with reports that made billions off people playing penny shop. Of course. But that's a snail way though. That's a snail way of business. There's some snail ways in the hobby. Most people don't have patience for them. Hey, I know once upon a time I picked up I tell this story sometimes. I picked up an Otani Tops Now for $600. I was looking at Otani and I'm looking at Acuna and I started buying a little bit of both. And sat on it for a long time. Put it in I had it in storage space. When pulled it out, so you know what? I think I'm gonna crack this thing and grade it. I looked at a little eye test, close one, open one. Looked around the corners and everything looks pretty good. Took it to the slab doctor, looked pretty good. Submitted it, didn't get the grade I wanted. Cracked it out, submitted it someplace else. Got the grade I wanted. But we're talking about a 6-year process.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, so I've tried to move my focus as far as my own collection is like, would I want to hold this item for 10 years or more? Now, obviously, I definitely buy stuff just completely to flip, right? Like, I'm trying to scale a business up. I would like to do big things. I would like to be full-time in the hobby as far as the only job. But yeah, man, you got to think, what's going to be attractive long term? That was everybody chasing Drake London. Like, what was it, 2 summers ago? They're like, oh, he's going to be the next big thing. And at that same time, Tom Brady prices were stupid low. And it's like, you got to look at my favorite thing is to tell people is like, would your mother know that name? Right? My mom's going to know Charizard. My mom's going to know Tom Brady. But,
But when you talk about Drake London, you talk about Brady. Drake London is that shiny new thing. Tom Brady, I've heard about him since '99 and 2000 at Michigan, and then he came into the league. So what? He won some Super Bowls. I hear a lot of people say that was before I was born. That was before I really cared about cars and sports.
And I mean, I get that. Like, I personally, I really enjoy Steph Curry. That was my genre of watching basketball. I enjoy that play style, but I also feel like Steph Curry's changed the game, right? Going back to Drake London, it's like he's the new shiny name, but what has he done? Versus like Steph is the guy who's been draining threes from the stands. He goes out to the stands and making crazy shots. It's like, which one's going to be more memorable in 10 years?
True. Yeah, Curry in a way did save the NBA. If you think about there's no Curry, man, the NBA changes. Right now, we're in a phase of the NBA where we're looking for greatness. Once all these guys have really showcased in the Olympics this year, when they retire, NBA is going to be different unless somebody steps up. Who's going to step up? If Curry and Clay and Draymond and that group, Iguodala, had not done what they did, what would the NBA be?
No, I totally agree. You've got to think, especially investing, spending your hard-earned money, like who really changed the game? Like, obviously whoever's the shiny new name or they're the, the hot up and coming rookie. But
Anthony Edwards. Go ahead.
Well, that's everybody freaking out about Wemby, which I totally agree. He's really good at basketball.
Really good.
But it's like, for instance, we had a PWCC episode last Sunday, me and Amani, and I literally saw like one of the most rare Jordan inserts sell for less than a Tiger Stripe Wemby. And in my head, I'm sitting there going, obviously I'm not in that tax bracket. I can't spend that amount of money on a piece of cardboard. But God, if I'm going to do it to the guy who's going to be great forever. Not, oh, well, this is the tiger stripe and da da da. It's like, no, bro. No. There ain't no way. I mean, and I think Wemby's great. I would like to hope that he's going to be generational. But when I see a guy that's that big, I'm sitting there going, man, I hope his ankles last. I hope his knees last.
I ask the question all the time. Could be wrong. But what guy over 7'4" has made it long term in the NBA? There's not one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like we're all gambling, but there's a safe gamble and then there's a really risky gamble. And I feel like, Wemby, if I had any Wemby stuff, like it, say I buy a blaster from Walmart and I rip a Wemby, I'm flipping it today. I'm not going to hold it. There's no way I'm going to go, let me hold this for 10 years because I think the price point that it is now is just only going to keep going down.
I agree. And people don't have to believe Jerry and I. Statistics show, if you look at data, Wemby's cars are on a slow decline. And
and going back to the super rare Jordan card, now it might be super flat in its price, right? Like, 5 years ago it was 10 grand and this past week it did 14,000, right? And that's maybe not the most attractive to those people who are trying to flip something next week. But if you're going to put something in a safety deposit box and forget it's there.
Speak on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody, I asked someone the other day at work a question, but if somebody told me, give me 10 grand now, I'll give you 20 back in 10 years. We're all running for that.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Nobody's questioning that. But in the card game, it's like, well, what about LaMelo Ball? Okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's all these guys just going after the newest, latest, greatest. And it's like, dude, just buy goats. Just buy goats. Literally, if you hit Jordan, Kobe, if you hit the big names, you're fine. You're going to be good. I mean, honestly.
There's a comment here, Hero 3. I see Wemby making All-Star and Defensive Player of the Year. I can see that. But what is he doing in 2034? Is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I remember the prices people were paying on Zion. Zion was the next Michael Jordan, and then where are we at now? Like, nobody cares. And it's
I remember once upon a time, I'm living in LA. Kareem is signing, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar people. They're signing autographs 1 week. Moderate amount of people. People showing up. Next week, LaMelo Ball is signing autographs. And this is when LaMelo Ball was coming out of UCLA and about to go pro. I drove by the place he was at. There were people wrapped around the corner. And then he had a pop-up one day. Because the ball family used to do pop-ups all the time. And there were people for blocks waiting to get into that place. Where's Kareem now? Where's Lonzo Ball right now?
No, I totally agree. I mean, I would so prefer the Kareem auto and going back to that, sticking it in a safety deposit box, waiting 10 years, which one's going to make me more money? I'm going with the GOAT, 100%.
Zerny says, what year do y'all think they start putting MJ cars in safety deposit box? MJ
85.
Carr, but MJ Carr's Star and Fleer both changed. Car grading changed the game on both of those. Star was counterfeited a lot. Most people wanted to walk away from. They had no value. The same way with the Fleer car, it had no value, very little value. I remember going in I can remember, Jerry, when shops only sold baseball cards. Go in there asking about basketball. Basketball cards are very hard to find. And then the one, I remember seeing some Jordans like in a showcase, just sitting at the bottom. Nobody knew if they were real or not. Because there were some people making Jordans in their garage. So
yeah,
everything changed.
Yeah,
and that's not today. I can remember a time when a rookie card autograph, Jerry, your rookie card autographed by you was worth less than a rookie card out of the pack. It's not that way today because grading changed the game.
Yeah, I agree. I would think that they started going into safety deposit boxes before the 90s because Jordan was,
I see that.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
he was putting it down.
Yeah, the year he was Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. We will never see that. Probably never see that again. Right now, even the best players. You're looking at Shea. You're looking at Luka. I don't see any of them doing that.
No,
but I see great play out of them. But the expectation is not. You're not doing that. How you able to do that on both ends of the court? That's why my man's the GOAT. I think Paulo Carlos could see a rise. Paulo's a great player. I'll be looking for some.
Yeah, I could see. And I really honestly feel like when you bet on the player because you enjoy the play style, there's other people who are going to feel the same way. You know, now if you're taking a flyer because somebody said, "Oh, on my top 5 list, buy this person," avoid that. But if you enjoy watching the player, they seem talented. If you've got a good eye for the game, trust your gut, man. And especially like right now, Paulo stuff is so low, you could probably get a good deal on some really cool stuff.
Yes. For sure. Hero 3 says, call me crazy. I still want a Zion rookie card, PSA 10. I can't call you crazy. All I will say is a person's off-court time matters. What are you doing when you're not in that uniform on TV and on that court? It matters. If you can't go stress yourself working out and stay on a regiment alone with just you, it's going to show up. So I wouldn't say you're crazy. And I want Zion to Enja to come back hard and show people what they're made of. And I hope so. Do I think it's going to happen? Not me personally. Because to me, your past predicts your future unless you decide to change.
I'll be honest with you. Between Ja and Zion, I'm putting my money on Ja. Like, yes, he did some foolish stuff, right? But he's a guy who's a go-getter. He's out there training. He's out there working out. Yeah. Zion, man, it seems like he caught a bag and was just like, cool. All right, I'm just going to chill now. And it's like, that's not what you
want. Right?
Yeah. And really, if he wants a Zion rookie PSA 10, right now is a great time to buy one because, God, at a certain point, those silvers were like $2,000-$3,000. If I was going to go for a Zion right now, I would probably say go for an auto because they're really, really affordable. I mean, in comparison to what they were.
They are. Yep. Machado says, I'm gonna shoot you a follow, JP. I'm tapped into your pod with Imani and Yabo. I need more episodes. Keep going. They're gonna get busy for you. Don't worry about
it. We're trying to expand. So Amani's doing the Monday night vibes after every F1 race. Mm-hmm. We do the after show vibes on Tuesday. We have a podcast that drops on Wednesday, and we've got some plans for some other stuff to drop up. We would really like to expand to probably 7 days a week.
Cool. What else? Let me make sure I get buy Chat instead of Wemby. Hot take.
I don't know. So if I'm going to a card show and I'm trying to sell cards, it's probably going to be way easier right now to sell your Wemby stuff than the Chet. But it all goes back to who do you enjoy watching? Who are you willing to take a gamble on? Like I said, if I was ripping a box and I got either of those guys, I'm immediately selling. Neither one of them I'm holding.
The hard thing is that Wemby is a leader of his team. Chet is a strong contributor of his team. So the hobby is going to look at them in two different ways.
Yes.
But I see where Superbad's going, though, because he's probably, we went back to a few minutes ago, we were talking about long-term longevity and how a player plays. He's probably thinking Chet might play longer than Wemby. I'm getting that. I understand, because that was a one time that Yao Ming was unstoppable, people. He had Shaq in his back pocket. And then he got hurt.
Yep.
And he couldn't come back from that. So, but still a Hall of Famer, had a very successful career. You look up at his numbers, he was balling every year. He was filling buckets more than just points. So Wemby might be that dude that you see some stuff and you look back on years from now, but the longevity piece matters. Let's not act like it doesn't. Let's not ignore that. When we talk about people, every name, when we mention Kareem, Oscar Robertson, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, we mention any of these people, we just said longevity. We're not talking
100%.
about somebody who did it for 2 or 3 seasons and then couldn't do it anymore. We're talking about longevity, so it matters. And it matters how you lead your team. Are you a strong participant, or do you drive the bus, as everyone likes to say? Because everybody can't drive buses because you got to use your mirrors and do a bunch of stuff. That's how it shakes out. But super bad. I always appreciate you being here and your comments, and I totally get what you're saying. 85, he was hurt. Imagine saying what you're saying about Wemby to an 85 Jordan, but you got to understand Jordan's a smaller stature guy than Wemby. He got hurt in 85. Everybody kind of knew what his injury was. People thought, will he return? But Mike was doing stuff that a doctor telling him to chill. Mike was at North Carolina in a swimming pool and playing ball every day. So just a dude internally built different. Again, drive could get a lot for you. Wemby's a big dude. That's a totally different ballpark. And I still go back on history. Hero 3, name me a guy over 7'4" that played 12, 15 years. They don't exist.
And I mean, the other thing is, everybody gets compared to Jordan. You only had one MJ.
That's right. And before that, I can remember, I'm old enough to know, that when people compare Mike out the gate, first 3 years or so, to Dr. J, people thought it was crazy. If you said Michael Jordan is better than Dr. J, people thought you were insane. Now we don't even talk about Dr. J. We talk about Bird, Magic, Jordan. We only talk about Dr. J. And Dr. J beat Bird. We don't talk about that. So that's just, that's just how sports go. He kept losing Isaiah and Bird. I think a lot of people today would say Jordan would never win and sell his cars. I think if you're looking in your rearview mirror and you're guessing on history, Hero 3, you would say that. There's no time when I was coming through watching Jordan that you would compare him to Anthony Edwards, or Jordan was taking over games and dominating and willing stuff to happen. And when people say luckily Pippen came along, this is what always gets me, Jerry. And I don't want to get off on a tangent. But people look back on history a certain way and look forward a certain way. Pip was a guy who was a equipment manager that came out of a small school and started playing with Mike. And he was on the bench behind Charles Oakley and some other people for a while. Look at Pip's rookie year stats. There's nobody in the hobby now running out to buy a rookie that has those stats. Look at Dennis Rodman's rookie year stats. Nobody's running out to buy, oh man, Dennis. Nobody's talking about that. Dennis had 7 years in a row where he led the NBA in rebounding when he was an older player. So even today, that's why I don't listen to much stuff when people talk about players and their development and where they're about to go. And I don't even listen to that.
I'm a 90s baby. I was in the prime Jordan era.
You were.
He's the GOAT to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But even when you think about like scoring and different things, I remember people telling me Tyrese Halliburton is going to be averaging 27 soon. That's not his game. If you're watching Tyrese Halliburton, that's not his game. At best, he's a distributor of the basketball. And if you don't play defense on him well, he'll light you up. So I listen to a lot of stuff. I hear you, but it didn't go down like that. I'm not saying Pippen. And nobody ever talks about, which amazes me, when the Milwaukee Bucks were beating the Bulls. Nobody talks about that. But that was happening before Detroit was beating them. I'm not saying Pippen is greater than him. Nobody can say that. I'm saying Pippen 95% of the league. I can't disagree with that. But Pip will never get the respect, probably because of the recent stuff that he's done and said. This is super bad idea. What's a super bad idea? What's that? Chet is a buy, but not instead of Wemby. Like I said, I think there are two different players doing two different things on two different teams. Shea is running OKC. Everything comes through Shea. And that was a time here recently we can remember nobody was talking about Shea. Everybody was talking about Luka.
Yeah, but going back to I'm trying to sell to the repackers at the card show. I'm trying to sell or set up at the card shows.
Mhm.
Everybody's asking for Wemby right now.
Oh, yeah,
like if
everybody.
you're gonna have between the two, pick up Wemby. He's way more liquid right now. Now, neither one of them I think are a 10-year hold.
Flip Wemby for profit and what you buy what you want. Yep.
Facts. I would say sell the Wemby and go buy as many Jordans as you can.
Hero 3, bro. All I can say is that I lived through this time. That there's no dispute here. Do you know Scottie Pippen was drafted and traded for who's the big man from the Lakers that he was out at an event here in LA recently? Can't remember his name. Just think about
Listen, I hope Hero has like the best Scottie Pippen collection. He must, bro.
He's jumping out of an airplane with no parachute right now. Say he can fly, so I don't know. Superbad said buy Chet instead of Wemby. I mean, make your own decisions, do your own thing. Know that they play two different roles on two different teams. Wemby is a leader, is the leader right now for San Antonio. He's going to fill all buckets. He's going to give you ESPN highlights. He's going to do stuff you probably have never seen. He's athletic. He can shoot the three. He also has a mid-range. He can block shots. He can lead fast breaks. We've seen all
But
this.
nobody at the show's asking for him, though. Nobody at the show's asking for him. Nobody's looking for Chet. Like, I mean, I've walked past some really nasty rookie auto patches, and they're not cheap. We're still talking thousands of dollars, but it's nowhere compared to the Wemby stuff. I mean, everybody.
Before last season, okay, Chet's hurt. He's coming back in, right? I heard people tell me that OKC is going to be Chet's team. Come on now. We talking or we for real? It ain't happening.
Yeah. No.
San Antonio is Wemby's team. And he will continue.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. SGA MVP next year. And the Quiet Car Podcast said that. My people said that. Y'all know Shea coming. Don't play. I can't wait to see this young man get on the court and rip. I can't wait. It's got me hyped already. Bar no injuries. I want to see an injuries. I want to see J-Dub take that step. I know he's right now somewhere taking that step. His brother's in the league now. His brother was talking smack at the draft saying he's going to ball them up when they play each other. So I know he's getting ready. And now Caruso is in the house. Got rid of Giddey. You got Hartenstein in the center. Let Chet move down to the 3 or the 4. Get him outside more where he's comfortable, where he can make moves, shoot the mid-range in the 3, and let Hartenstein get down there and bang. People better watch out. You know I'm hyped, Jerry. People better watch out. I want to ask you, what kind of hobby moves are you making right now? And do you purchase more at shows, or are you purchasing it online, whatnot, someplace else?
So primarily, a lot of my buying is in person. First off, I think it's easier to get a deal done. I do some buying online, like whatnot. You can pick up a few good things, but I'm primarily, if I'm purchasing, I'm going through eBay, or I'm doing really just mostly eBay. But with eBay, I've got a couple different tactics. So I'll put a watch on certain items that I'm looking for, but generally on those type of items, I've already got a buyer in mind. Like, for instance, I've got a guy who wants every Wimby I touch. I've got a guy who wants every Gengar I touch. I've got a guy who wants every Charizard I touch. One of the tactics that I like to do is I look for misspelled items on eBay. There's a website called fatfingers.com. And for instance, a lot of people are misspelling Victor Wembanyama, and go figure, you can get some really good deals because some stuff that's misspelled has been sitting there for, 3, 4, 6 weeks. And these guys are like, oh my God, what's wrong? I don't know why I'm not selling. Boy, I send them a nice little lowball offer and go, hey, I pay immediately. Check my feedback.
Yep.
Bang. Put in the correct way of spelling. And I mean, I've literally bought off of eBay, got it in person, took 2 pictures of my own, labeled it correctly, and sold it within 24 hours. So, I mean, there's plays out there. But I love the in-person thing. I mean, honestly, I love making deals. I love wheeling and dealing. Shaking hands, kissing babies is so much more enjoyable than the online.
And the story to be behind, like walking up and finding something.
Oh, listen, it's only happened a few times, but I've literally found $100 cards in a $5 box. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, well, let me just make a pile. I mean, let's get
if you have that knowledge, if you're looking at comps on a regular basis, you kind of know what's going on. Always know that every year there's a particular card. We talk about all these variations and everything. There are a few particular cards every year that is that player's true rookie card, or top 5. Let me say, if you had a list. If you're around,
I'll tell you my favorite one to go for is like the numbered stuff. If you can find the jersey number, bro, it's such a hit because like it just hits different when you go, oh, hey, I've got the Kobe and it's the old one and it's the number 8 of 100. And it's like, oh, wow. Or I've got the number 24 of 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
It brings a premium. It brings extra value. And it's just the little weird niche stuff that people chase. Also, for instance, if you get like the number 1 of 100 or the 100 of 100, people love that kind of stuff. So I like looking for the weird stuff like that, honestly.
That's where also patience comes in that. Being able to search, find, take your time, not running. I call it running with scissors. Running with a knife. Running with a knife in your hand, there's a lot of that. But can you find that jersey match that's on point? Can you find that low numbered one that's on point? The jersey number that's on point. These are the things that will give you an extra bump in premium if you want to sell something. Well, you sit down. That was the most impressive thing about Card Collector 2 when I first started watching his videos. This guy comes in, sits on top of his suitcase, makes a seat for himself, and will just start going through dollar bins. Having conversation. Yeah, that's crazy, right? That Ohio State game. And just keep going through and say, how much for this stack?
Yeah. And honestly, that was who inspired me to start going through the dollar boxes. Because when everybody first came in the hobby, it's, hey, buy the silver, buy the, the jersey match, like if we're buying Luka, if you got the blue, that brings a premium. Yep. But yeah, man, Card Collector 2 definitely inspired me on the singles game. And really, once eBay transitioned to the plain white envelopes being, 60 cents, 70 cents, whatever, man, it really just opened up the door for me because it's like, hey, I can take 2-3 photos on eBay, sell it for $1 or ship it for $1, and it has tracking. It was a complete game changer, honestly. I'm to the point now where I look less at slabs and I look more at raw stuff.
Hey,
and I'm not looking to grade either. I'm just looking to buy and flip.
Yeah.
Now there's a few things that I'll grade. Like for instance, this last weekend I purchased a first edition Charizard, and I literally had told myself, I said, "Hey, I'm going to have it listed. If it doesn't sell in a week, I'm grading it." less than 24 hours of listing, paid, money in the bank. And it's like, cool, I'll sell it raw.
Mm-hmm. And if you're out there looking for opportunities yourself, also like Jerry alluded to, buying raw and possibly grading, inspect that card, ask for additional pictures on eBay. If you see it in person, get it out of the penny sleeve and the top loader. You'll find situations where maybe people don't have a lot of top loaders. They might be beat up looking. They might be scratched up. You get that card out, you find out, man, this is crazy. This card looks very clean. And if you have a good rapport with someone, sometimes you may even say, "Hey, can I have somebody check this card out before I buy it?" People are good with that if they know you.
Yeah, so recently I've been using a brand called Veriswap. It's a trading app. And I actually picked up a super rare 1 of 1. And when I made the deal with the guy, I even said, "Hey, look, and this is a V Friends card, so it's from the Gary V kind of brand." And I said, "Look, historically, these don't really grade well. While looking at it in pictures, it looks really good, but we can't price it at, a PSA 10 price." And, but I said, "Hey, look, I'm going to take my shot and I'm going to grade it." And, boy, when I got it in hand, like you said, like the penny sleeve was all messed up. The top loader was all scratched. But when I took it out, I was like, God, this is perfect. Sent it off, got a PSA 10. And I was just like,
there you go.
So there is opportunities, definitely.
Who do you grade with? Is it primarily PSA?
Yes and no. So it depends on the scenario, right? So for something big like that, 100% PSA, I wouldn't consider anybody else. Now, if I was buying cheaper mid-tier stuff, I like SGC. I mean, honestly, if you're looking to be a first to market, SGC is really, they're undefeated. I mean, I wish PSA would catch up on that same level of care. But say, for instance, like Bowman just comes out, right? And you go buy some singles. Man, it makes so much more sense to send it to SGC. And obviously, the price is not always going to be the same as PSA, but the fact that you're first to market, that's the difference.
Yeah. Superbad 0415 says both Chet and Wemby are both young and they have great futures ahead. Chet is just cheap right now. It's true.
No, I totally agree. I would say that right now Wemby feels maybe overpriced is the wrong term to use, but as far as what I would say go for, Wemby prices are too high. So really, if you can get a good check card right now, I would do it. And especially if it's raw and it looks good, grade it out. And even if you're kind of in between, like, I don't know if it's going to 10 or if it'll be a 9, send it to SGC. That SGC is going to get about 80% of the price anyways. If people are living and breathing and dying by a number, just get the SGC stuff.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah, like I said, I wonder who's going to win a championship first.
That's a great question.
I like to stir the pot and get the crispy stuff off the side. Never know. Big John says, Jerry, I can tell your love and enthusiasm for the hobby is genuine and amazing. Jerry's a real guy, man. Real dude. I mean, we talk about the national stuff, real person, man. Yeah.
I want to say that the hobby has completely changed my life. I mean, for the positive, it has allowed me. I mean, I've literally been able to pay my parents' bills. Up to my father's last couple years of his life, I was able to buy dinner every Sunday when they were struggling on money to pay for medicine. I was able to come out of pocket. I mean, literally last month, my mom goes, "Man, I don't know how I'm going to pay my health insurance." And I said, "How much is it?" She goes, $170. I said, "Here's my debit card. Pay it." And, I don't tell her what I make online because I don't want to make it weird. But, man, it has given me the ability to, like, do stuff that I've only ever dreamed of. And that's why I keep pushing on it, man. It's like I don't want to take my foot off the throttle. It's like it's too much fun. And it's so, like, going back to the dollar boxes, it's the best form of fishing. I mean, when you pull out and you go, "Oh my God, this guy's got a 1 of 1 in here for $5, like, take my money. I mean,
And
it's
their mindset is just trying to get rid of this inventory. Your mindset,
exactly.
with the knowledge that you have, is like, this is something premium here.
Exactly. It's being able to find a diamond in the rough and go, oh, I know there's value here. I mean, I had at not the last trade night we were at, but the second to last, I had a guy who comes up, he goes, man, I've got this 101. It's a nobody name, this and that. You want it for $20? Yes, sir. 2 pictures on eBay, sold it for $100 a day later. Like, and it's people are afraid to take a chance. People are afraid to hear a no. It's like, man, if you're real worried about it, stick it up for 99 cents, let it run 7 days. Make sure it doesn't. Now, caveat to that, guys and girls, don't have it end at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I think
people do that.
I think people have posted out where they're like, oh my God, the auctions did terrible. And you look at the time it ended, it's like, man, everybody's at work. So have it end at like 8, 9 o'clock on a Sunday. You're going to be all right.
Some stuff ended like 2, 3 in the morning. That's the bomb.
Which I have picked up some deals. Like, I literally have had alarms set and had to wake up at the butt crack of dawn and go bid. And I've scored some super sweet deals.
So have I. I have a question for you here. What cards have you submitted recently when you're sending in cards? Like, what are some examples?
So the 1 of 1 V-Friends card I've recently submitted. And I've submitted some stuff for my personal PC. So I personally collect a guy named Craig Kimbrell. He's a hometown hero. I grew up with his middle brother.
Save list. I just saw a save list the other day. Really hot.
Yeah. I want to say like 3 or 4. Like, big deal. But yeah, that's the stuff that I'm grading. For the most part, if I buy it raw, I flip it raw. If I buy it graded, I flip it graded. But like Amani the other day scored a really good deal on a basketball card, and it was like a PSA 5. And I mean, you're like, okay, maybe it's a little off-centered, but like, so, there's scenarios where I buy a raw or a graded card, crack it, and as long as you're transparent with people and go, hey, bro, this had a PSA 5. You can look at it. I don't really see it, but here it is. And you can still make money.
True. The Quiet Car Podcast says OKC all the way. I'm going to say 2 years, at least 2 years. It's going to be some things going down. I've made a prediction for a while now that there's a guard in the 2018 class that will win a championship before Luka does. I'm aware now that Klay Thompson has went to Dallas. I still don't think it's going to bring a ring.
I like Klay. I like Luka. I like Kyrie. But like, it's I don't know. I wouldn't put money on it.
Hey, Curse Cardclair, what do you think?
I am not with the juice at all. Now, I'm completely willing to pivot on that statement if PSA offers the service, if Beckett offers the service. But man, I don't want to rub any junk on my card because personally, I feel like, for instance, the Kobe rookie out of the, 96, 97 Topps Chrome set, they very famously green out, right? And supposedly it was because of the sunlight. But there's guys that are pulling out the chrome refractors that's been sitting in a safety deposit box for 20 years that turned out green. I personally feel like that was a topical something. And maybe for the time it looked great. Hey, this got a 10. I want my items, like my Craig Kimbrell stuff, I would never rub anything on it because I don't know what it's going to do. And I know I want that card for at least the next 20 years, if not significantly longer. Here's the other thing. I don't want to do anything stupid to where my name gets on a, blacklist from PSA or Beckett or whatever. I want to keep grading cards till I'm an old man, Yep.
I agree with you. I think Kurtz changes the game for everything vintage. it completely changes the game. If you can sort cards, and you can take a PSA 3 and make it a PSA 6, PSA 5. Those are game changers in the hobby.
I just hope that those cards last. I'll be honest with you. So if I'm going for vintage, I'm a low grade kind of guy anyways. Like the 86 Fleer Jordan that I had was a PSA 1. And it's like I don't feel like you have to worry about that kind of stuff. But God, if I was a guy with big money and you're looking at these PSA 10s, PSA 9s, you guys should be scared because I don't think those items are going to last that long. And I think that's the whole reason why PSA is chasing this whole subject down is because they can't put a guarantee on what's going to happen. I mean, like, is this card going to deteriorate in 10 years? Like, it just, there's no appeal for me. And I see a lot of dealers. I've seen dealers at card shows sitting there waxing them up right there at the show. And I'm like, that's a bad look. I mean, in my eyes, it's not the same as trimming a card, but boy, you're on the same side of the airplane. You know what I mean? That's like, for instance, the Charizard that I sold. I literally said, hey, this has scratches on the hollow. Here's pictures of it. And just because I don't believe in it and I don't want to make that choice for somebody else. And if somebody else wants this to last 10 years, you know, if they want to soak it in the juice or hit it with the Armor All, like that's on them. But I'm not going to make that choice for somebody else. It doesn't feel right.
I completely understand. I just think when it first came out, definitely some people I heard and saw that primarily deal in vintage. If that stuff gets a hold of your card, it is a game changer. A game changer. And it really changes the whole hobby.
I'm curious of the long-term effects. Like I said, and I still kind of feel like a PSA, a Beckett, some service, they will offer it at some level, some point. I just don't know when that point is. And, you know, at that point, hey, hit it with the juice, hit it with the, you know, soap, the little bath, whatever you want to do. But man, I could not imagine having like an Ernie Banks and going, all right, I'm going to soak this and take it from a 3 to a 5. And then, oh God, in 10 years, that card fell apart in the plastic. Like it just, it has no appeal to me.
The only thing I've expressed to people is that, and I'm not a proponent of Kurtz. I just like to go beyond the norms of the hobby, right? You talk about paintings are cleaned. I remember I used to collect stamps as a young person. You take stamps, you can get a stamp that's still in a letter from 1920 something. Take that stamp off, put that stamp someplace else. Water, different solutions are used.
Yeah.
The stamp is not. It's not an issue. So there are other industries and hobbies where people do this stuff all the time. I know the hobbyist doesn't. We just talked about earlier with technology and stuff. Doesn't turn the corner on change a lot. But I do know that if you're holding a Mickey Mantle 5 and you crack that thing out and this Kurt Cards care can make it a 7, that completely changes anything we know about the hobby. And nobody holding those cards are going to want that.
It feels like a Bondo on a Corvette to me, right? Like if I'm going after the numbers matching Corvette, I wanted the Stingray. Man, I really want to make sure it's all metal. I don't want any Bondo. Because, you know, you see the long-term effect of Bondo and you go and hit it and it falls off and you're like, dang, that was the whole fender. So, like I said, I'm willing to pivot on my position on it. But me personally, I'm not hitting anything with the juice. I'm avoiding it like the Black Plague because, you know, I face in the hobby. I want people to know I'm trustworthy. So I'm going to at least stand on what I've been saying. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a few times where it's like, I feel like I could definitely have taken a 5 to a 7 and made significantly more profit. But at the end of the night, I got to sleep with myself.
Okay, I agree. I don't disagree. But I do believe if we could see how much product Kurtz is selling it would probably blow our mind.
Oh, he's selling crazy amounts. Yeah,
And if we could see how much product is at a show that has been hit with the juice, it will blow your mind.
Oh yes, 100%.
It's out there. Machado says, so who are the new GOATs of these new generations and kid car collectors coming in? Would there be any GOATs from these new prospects? On average, there are 2 every 20 years in basketball. And in football, about the same.
I would say the GOATs of this generation are probably LeBron, Patrick Mahomes.
Once you get past that, though, once you get past those people that we know, we might not see anybody for years to come. We don't know.
Yeah.
Because Josh Allen, the GOAT. Herbert, I don't know. Burrow, I don't know. So
and, I would like
now
to see those guys have success, but man, I'm not going to use my hard-earned dollars to gamble on it, though.
Yeah. It might be a person sitting in 8th grade, 6th grade right now that's about to run the whole show.
Oh, they're definitely 100%. I mean, the next greatest person is probably, like you said, sitting in an elementary school right now going, man, look at what LeBron's doing. Look what, Messi's doing. Look what, Mbappe, all these guys, it's out there.
Knowledge and education is missing in the hobby, especially to the pandemic babies. Education and knowledge is crucial. But I think when we talk about education and knowledge, we're also, again, talking about long-term planning. Why else even go get an education if we're not concerned? I'm talking about anything. I'm not just talking about sitting in a classroom listening to a teacher's lecture. I'm talking about anything. If I want to learn how to do something I don't know how to do today, it's some kind of long-term planning. Education and knowledge is crucial to the market, especially. It'll save you from getting fleeced to cook. But we love to just run and jump in the pool and see if we can swim. A lot of people love that feeling. I don't know if it's dopamine or what it may be. They just want to show up. I never forget, we went to a show and Junior says, hey, Dad, you got some cards? Now, this conversation had never happened before we went to a show. He said, hey, Dad, you got some cards? I was like, yeah, what you want to do? He said, I just want to take a few and go over here and trade with these kids. And I was like, okay, but you don't know what you have, though. You don't know what I'm about to give you. And he was like, well, it doesn't really matter. And I said, well, Junior, we don't roll like that. So you got to take the time outside of here to understand. So then you can go and trade, because you may trade with somebody who knows and you don't know.
Well, see, I think that's the point of us making content, is really to educate people. That's my whole drive to make content, is because I've had, and it's only happened a few times, but I've had people who've come up to me and they were like, bro, you put this video out and it helped me in this way, and I had a positive turnout from it, because I've definitely been that kid who I didn't know what I had and I walked up and I got cooked, and I would never say that's a loss. It's only a lesson.
Yeah, you pay for an education right there.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. We've all had that in life. Question for both. Do you all have any recent pickups? I picked up a Prism Rookie Shea blue color match recently, and some other cards. I think we made an episode on it. I've been trying to buy more with a strategy, and there's been less volume but more meaningful stuff. What about you, Jerry?
So same thing. I try to buy strategically. So the big recent pickup I got was the French first edition Charizard. The strategy on that was to try to double up. For my own personal PC, I just recently got in a numbered to 199 Craig Kimbrell rookie auto. I'm trying to complete the whole rainbow, and I'm literally 2 cards off. So that's the biggest. Huh?
That's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, man. And, I feel like as far as me completing the rainbow, that's a Jerry doing it for just Jerry. But at the same time, it's like it's something I've shown to so many other people, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" And it's like, yeah, I've got the red to 25, I've got the gold to 50, I've got the blue to 150, I got the sepia to 199, and now all I need is the black to 100 and the 101. And the 101, it has not come up. I look every day.
Okay, it's good to know. I'll be looking for you. Zerny says no juice on the cars.
Facts.
We talked a little bit about men in the Olympics. Excuse me, the men's Olympic basketball team. Do you see them winning the gold medal?
America, baby, let's go.
I don't see any way they do not.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the comparisons with the Dream Team is definitely not blowing smoke. When you look at what is it, a 15-man roster? I mean, it was stacked. And like I said, the only name that I was even worried on there was KD, and I love KD. I think he's great. I just, like you said, it's really hard to bounce back from some of those serious injuries.
Yeah, very hard. Quiet Car says USA all day. This track and field, Simone Biles, what is she going to do? I think we know what she's going to do. I just want to see her do it. What's up with the Olympics in the diving? I even get into water, sport, any kind of water sport. I'm into that.
Yeah.
In the Winter Olympics, one of my favorite sports is curling. But in the summer, a bunch of different stuff I plan to get into. I can't wait for 4 years from now. It's going to be in LA.
Man, that's just going to be crazy. It's going to be so exciting. Well, World Cup is coming to the USA here soon too. I mean, that's
yes.
I'm a proper football guy, and man, that's just going to be explosive. It's crazy.
LP says LeBron's not a leader. That just came out of nowhere. LeBron's not a leader. Okay. All right.
Who's over there telling the coach what they're going to do? That's all I've got to say.
No, to me, he's a GM. He's a coach. What do you think of JJ Redick as head coach? What are your thoughts?
It's very interesting. So forever and a day, everybody was like, man, JJ Redick just has this incredible basketball knowledge. He's so knowledgeable, this, and this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, why did you choose him? He just came from, what was it, middle school basketball or what? And it's like, where are we at, people? Like, is he the genius that he said he is, or what? I think it's good. I think he's going to be successful. It's just kind of funny to read the haters' comments. They're like, oh my God. And it's like, whoa. Weren't y'all the same people saying that he's like incredibly knowledgeable?
Absolutely true. Hey, how are you prepping for the national? What are you doing? I see videos about it, but what is Jerry doing?
Man, we still got to buy our flight. But yeah, just really stack up bread. That's the best thing I could tell you. The national is expensive. First off, travel is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of events are incredibly expensive. But man, I can't wait to see friends. There's so many friends that I have in the hobby that you only get to see at the national. You only get to see at a big event like that. And it's like the last national, I had a buddy that I had bought a ton from. He sold a bunch to me. I sold a bunch to him. But I had never seen his face. He had one of those, like, you had a brand, but not your face, right? Yeah. And he walks up and he goes, Jerry. And I was like, oh, hey, what's up, bud? And he goes, bro, and he gave me his username. I was like, oh my God, give the guy a hug. It's like, bro, I've had so many conversations with you, which if I'm going to give advice to anybody on here, show your face. If you want to be a trustworthy content creator or platform or, business, show your face. Like, we got some good looking guys out here. Come on. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Take a picture every now and again. I don't want to hear just your voice and see your hands.
Yeah, I know people are, people have different levels of being comfortable with that. But I would echo that. I mean, it helps out a lot. Big John says, how do you approach making deals with friends?
So the way I approach deals with friends is I don't want to do just one deal with you. I want to do thousands of deals with you. So I'm always hey, where do you want to be? This is where I want to be. Let's make it a win-win, because honestly, if you can make money and I can make money and we do that 1,000 times, we're both going to be successful. That's like I went to Cards HQ on the day they opened, and I had bought this Jay-Z patch card, and I got it for a stupid cheap price. I mean, everybody who's hating on Cards HQ, you could go buy some really great singles and double up. So I actually sold that card to Amani, and I gave him a good deal. I made money. And like 3 weeks later, he goes, bro, I sold that and he made money. And it's like, if you can just rinse, recycle, repeat that same premise, like all these people who are like, man, I just cooked him. That's not repeatable. But if I made money on it and FD made money on it, FD's going to keep coming back, or Amani's going to keep coming back. It's like, just create an environment that it's a win-win for everybody. But there's also been a few times where I totally was like, hey, bro, I bought this for too much. It totally dumped. If you want it for this price, so don't be afraid to take a loss either. But yeah, if I can leave you margin and you make me money and I make you money, that's a great business.
Totally agree. I would hope, and I know this is probably never going to happen, but that as we go forward, 2024, 2025, 2026, that we would have people with a maturity level to stop talking about cooking each other and think about the long term and the next phase of the hobby. And if you are in your 20s, what leave to the people in their teens? If you're in your 30s, what are you leaving to the people right now that's in their 20s, and work your way up? Because it's there, like you just talked about, there's no future or longevity into shaking somebody down. That's what we used to say. You want to buy something from somebody and you find a way to make sure that you take advantage of them because you spot a sense of, oh, they don't know. And then you explore that and crack that door open and make sure you leave somebody's pocket looking like rabbit ears. And is it worth it?
Well, and listen, that's how I've had so much repeat business. I've had little kids like at the trade show that I did here recently. I had a dad and a son approach me and they said, hey, he's kind of looking to sell. He likes some stuff you got on the table. And, I pulled up, I said, hey, here's the last 3 recent comps. I would want to be within about this margin of the last 3. If he's wanting to trade for that item, I would owe him money. And the dad goes, wait, what? You would give him the card and give him cash? And he goes, well, let me go call my wife. I said, hey, man, yeah, go take your time, whatever, right? So they come back and they go, oh, would you still do that deal? I said, yeah, man, 100%. So I gave the kid cash, gave the kid the card, and I sold that same card that same night. I think that was I bought a Jokic Monopoly, and that was right as he got the MVP, right? Mm-hmm. And that same family came back to me and was like, hey, you remember, you did that deal? I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember y'all. And then that dad broke some serious bread with me. I mean, he paid my rent twice. And because I treated his kid right. And so don't cook the kids. Don't cook don't cook your friends. Don't cook anybody if you can. I mean, my way of pricing is probably different than other people's, especially at a show. So whenever I go to a show, if it's $100 card, like last couple sales, I put it for $95. I literally want you to look it up and go, that's cheaper than last couple on eBay. Yeah, man. Do you want to do a deal? And, a lot of people go, oh, well, I do a little higher over because everybody's going to wiggle. But, man, there's nothing like looking somebody in the face and say, I know you just comped it. It's cheaper than everything you saw. It's a good deal. You won't find it anywhere else, that price. And guess what comes out of that pocketbook?
Boom.
Money.
Jerry, hope y'all
and put your stickers on the top, please. Oh, my God. I hate going to tables and they don't have the stickers on the top. I like the stickers on the top because you can tell if somebody's reasonable, right? Like it's going back to that same $100 card, right? If I go to the table and you got it for 105, that's cool. I think I can wheel and deal. But man, if that same $100 card, you got a $200 price tag on it, I'm walking away. I'm not even going to waste my time. You know, it's like put the stickers on the top.
I agree. I totally agree. Jerry, you know it's been a pleasure having you here.
Hey, it's been a pleasure being on.
Tell everybody about the Quiet Car Podcast, when your schedule, and where they can find all of you at. Yabo, you, and Imani.
So, Quiet Card Podcast, we are on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch. We're on TikTok. We're on all the socials. Amani, me, Marcus, we're all on Instagram. Our schedule currently right now, like I said, Monday Night Vibes after every F1 race. We have the after show Tuesday around 8, 9 o'clock. Wednesday, the podcast drops. We're looking to expand out further on our stuff. We have a show every Sunday night, the PWCC show, which I don't know how much longer it's going to be the PWCC show. I think they're actually about to change the name, but we wanted to get them in before they changed the name, so we could say at least we've been doing it since they were PWCC.
And I won't let everybody know that they're live right now.
Yep.
What's up, Yabo? What's up, Imani? Hey, I appreciate all of y'all, man. You make the hobby fun for me. When I'm around my people, I have good conversations, and I have fun. We heading over to Quiet Car. Yeah, head over to Quiet Car Pod on Instagram and other vehicles.
Hit that like, follow, subscribe, share it with your grandma, share it with all your friends. It's a good time. I don't want to say it like this, but we're like attempting to be the Pat McAfee of the collectible space. We're a fun place where, you know, we're chopping it up. We're kicking it. It's not necessarily serious. You know, there's so many of these people, they're only preaching numbers. They're like, oh, I bought it for 50 and now it's 100. And that content's fun. But man, honestly, just to have some knowledgeable people to chop it up with is a lot more fun.
Yeah. I've watched many episodes and they do a great job of weaving in the fun of life, the beyond the hobby, and also hitting you with some knowledge. You have 3 individuals that I tell people this, who have traveled the country, saw a lot, sold a lot, interacted with a lot of personalities, graded a lot of cards. Yabo has a service where he's cleaning cars, and we're not talking about Chris Car Care. We're talking about looking at a car, reviewing it, giving you his educated professional guess.
And listen, Yabo's gym rate, when he tells you it's going to be a 10, it's going to be a 10. Now, don't get your feelings hurt when he goes, hey, there's no way this is going to 10. Just don't grade it, because he is graded so much. I mean, monthly, he's grading crazy amounts of cards. And it's great because I can send him a picture and go, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And he's like, man, it's too far off this way. Reach out. We're all knowledgeable. We're all friendly. We're all here to help. And nobody's going to be like, oh, you got to be in our Discord before we help you. We're here to help. We want the hobby to grow.
Hey, I know if somebody tells somebody that to me, you just told me I'm not in this game for a long time. I'm in for a short time.
Yep.
And that's the realest I can be with it. But Quiet Car Podcast, jump over to it on Instagram. Jerry, I appreciate you being here. It's always a pleasure, man. I'll look to have you on again soon. We'll talk. I hope you have a good night, bro, Merlin.
Hey, we rolling with FD. Quiet Card Podcast is rolling with FD. Hit that like, follow, and subscribe.
And I'm rolling with Jerry in the Quiet Car Podcast, people. Well, you heard it first. I'll talk to you, brother. Peace.
Peace.
Man, I appreciate you.